Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the ODP Tech Talk. I am Jeffrey McKinney, and today we are focused on bringing a conversation that's near and dear to my heart. I get pretty passionate about it. It's been, in my opinion, an evolving rebranding of something old to something new. And there's just this, it couldn't be more timely. Today, we're going to be discussing navigating AI risk in critical sectors with responsible use. A conversation with my friend, Cherie Dolan. Cherie, thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for having
me. You're very welcome. So the way that I normally start the Tech Talk is to give a bit of background around how we came to meet and how we come to this point of sitting down and talking about whatever it is that we're going to be discussing today. It just happens to be responsible use of AI. So to the audience, Cherie and I met this past December at a tech Christmas party. We sat right next to each other. It was at the PGA of America headquarters here in Frisco, Texas. Really, really nice event. My wife and I went. We had a great time, and when it was time to sit down and have the Texas style brisket in the middle of the week, my wife and I, we don't eat meat during the week normally, but we had to make an exception on this evening. We were very, very fortunate to have been sat right next to Cherie. Cherie, I don't believe your husband was there that night.
No, he had to stay at home and take care of the kiddos.
Yeah. So my mind is still sharp. But in that conversation, we just started talking about all kind of stuff, and then Cherie started to talk to me about kind of what she does professionally, and there's a bit of AI that's in that solution, and we started talking through use cases. And I said to her, I said, I do have a platform that's all about serving humanity. It's called Ontegration, and within Ontegration, we have a business community called Our Diverse Perspectives, and I'd like for you to come on and join Our Diverse Perspectives to talk about the responsible use of AI. So we had one lunch after that, and we decided that this is what we would do. And today we're doing it. Doesn't it feel great to accomplish your dreams?
Goals.
It's for me, this is a part of my journey of healing, to be able to take these services directly to people and show them without a filter who we are and really what this technology is about. So with that being said, I would like to give Cherie an opportunity to give herself a proper introduction.
Thank you, Jeff. So I am Cherie Dolan, aka the Fairy Tech Mother. That was a nickname given to me. I've been in the industry and in the space for upwards of 10 years now. And I started out, I've always kind of loved technology. If anything ever broke, my mom was always, "Hey, Cherie, come look at this, see if you can fix it first." And that kind of stemmed into where I'm at now. I started out just helping local businesses find the right solutions for their technology needs, whether phone, internet, web security, all those kinds of things. Then I felt like I had the better ability to share and educate the market. And I flipped sides and came over to the partner sector, where I'm now with Claro Enterprise Solutions. And I actually get to not only educate my partners, but I also get to educate their clients on exactly what the technology is out there and what it can do for your business.
So that is a great segue for me to stop and tell everyone, like, this is the fruition of a vision to be able to make resources. I mean, who doesn't want a fairy tech mother? I mean, yes. And so I can tell you, it comes along with the membership of Ontegration in Our Diverse Perspectives. And so by having a fairy tech mother, you have someone that it's almost like a term of endearment that someone bestowed upon Cherie because of the fruit that they saw in who she was in her spirit. And she comes with the membership because she's down with us. She's here. She's giving her gifts. And it's all about making sure that, and this will go right into the first segue is, there's a perception of AI. And that perception of AI is mixed, I would say. And so, there's a history to it as well. Hold on just a second, make sure my audio is great.
I was going to say it's kind of like the perception of AI is actually Hollywood.
It's Hollywood.
It's Hollywood.
Explain that to us.
So I feel like with Hollywood, with the movies, we have this understanding of AI as being robotic and actually going to take over the world. And it's going to end humanity, right? And that's not the case at all. Yeah. All the AI is here to do is actually make our lives simpler, make our lives better, and support us and improve upon what we already have. So, for instance, if there's a security guard at a lumber yard, as an example, well, that security guard is only human. That security guard can only see what he can see. He doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. So if you have cameras on your lot, those cameras can be helping that security officer with that security because they can see things that he can't if it's programmed and told to do those things. That's the brilliance and beauty behind AI. It has to be told what to do. It's not going to grow a soul overnight, right? You can't sprinkle some rain on it and just expect it to sprout a soul. It's not going to happen like that. So realizing and educating people to know that AI is our friend. Now, that comes with a caveat, and that's why we're here, right? It's part of being responsible with it, because just as good as AI can be, it can also obviously be used for negative as well. So,
Cherie, I don't know if you could notice how much I was bursting with great vibes and feelings as you were going down through that, because let me tell you about what happened at that moment. We were just before we started talking about the AirPods, and because I need to buy new ones and these are not working that great, it died right in the middle, and I couldn't focus. And then you took where I was going and just knocked it out of the park. And I loved what you said about AI not having a soul. And it will not grow a soul. In the movies, it shows a soul. And part of what I've noticed is that the practitioners, you talked about AI being as good as whatever it's told to do. Well, the person who's told to do something is the practitioner. So it really depends on the soul of the practitioner.
exactly.
And in this particular case, the practitioner that Our Diverse Perspectives is bringing our community today is also known as a fairy tech mother. So,
I
mean, like, there's the term, the connotation of mother speaks for itself. And so let's talk a bit about key principles of responsible use of AI. What would you say some of those key principles are?
I think that ultimately speaking, utilizing AI in its intended purpose is the most responsible way of using it, right? And that can also go both ways. Don't get me wrong. But using it for its intended purpose within each individual sector, if we're using it in an environment that helps our children stay safe at school, right? We need to make sure that we have accountability in the individuals that are, ultimately putting that software into place and that it's being utilized correctly. Same rules would apply with hospitals, making sure that there's a level of accountability that not just one person is looking into the software and making sure that the software is being installed correctly and being utilized to the best of its abilities.
Cherie, you again, I think a very timely conversation. I heard you talk about children. I never met anyone that didn't care about children, not just their own.
Right.
And if there were, and I got any sense that they didn't care about children, with my character and who I am, I didn't spend too much time with them. And so that's huge. You mentioned children and safety together. I'm separating them out because we all care about safety in schools and outside of schools. And so that's another huge opportunity. And then you also, again, to the point of the soul of the practitioner, you basically said, create a system to where it's not one single practitioner. And that speaks to the value of having a diverse perspective or diverse set of practitioners that are thinking about how do we utilize these tools. And so, how does these pillars, how does that go into the approach or the impact of someone deciding how to use AI in a responsible way? If you're looking, most people are trying to figure it out right now. They're being pulled and pushed in a bunch of different ways. How do we make it available and possible for them to get to kind of these 3 or 4 things you just mentioned?
I think the key to that is educating them first and foremost, because as we mentioned earlier, AI in this day and age is very Hollywood. People expect it to do a certain thing and be a certain thing, but that's not what it is at all, right? And so making sure that people understand how it is to be used properly, and, also knowing what it can't do, I guess, is the thing too, because there are a lot of assumptions around AI. And when I get AI, it's going to do everything I tell it to do. And that's not necessarily the case either. Right. Yep. So making sure that people understand the product, making sure that people have a good idea of what it's going to do. It's not going to take over a job. Again, it's not human. So we need to make sure that it is being utilized in a responsible way that is actually going to help benefit a organization and their staff, essentially. So stems from education.
Stems from education. So when we think about education in itself and bringing AI, because we have the opportunity with the children in the schools to potentially incorporate some AI and also educate at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because there's also this thing out there that's saying that, these wave of layoffs or whatever may be happening because of AI, which I don't know that I believe. AI can optimize some processes, but again, it doesn't have soul and it doesn't have human intelligence. And it's actually used to go by a different name 5 years ago. And it may go by another name depending upon what happens or what doesn't happen with AI over the next 5 years. So, rebrands happen. This is just technology. This is just code on hardware that has some enhanced capabilities when it all boils down to it. So let's talk about in the AI in the education space. Can you share examples of AI applications inside of schools and maybe some associated risks?
Absolutely. So the product that we actually bring to the table is Department of Homeland Security certified, first and foremost. And we're the first company that got that certification. We've been rocking it for a long time now. And I think that that's super important to understand as an organization. You want the very, very best protecting your children. I know as a parent who has children in the school systems, if I had, the opportunity to have a generic product versus a name brand to protect my kid, I'm going to go name brand, right? When we look at tennis shoes. We go name brand usually on our tennis shoes because they're going to give us a different level of support.
Yep.
That speaks volumes. We have a product right now, and unfortunately, it's a product that has to be implemented. But we have one that offers weapons detection. And when we speak about AI is only as good as what it is, that's exactly it. It's not a mind reader. It can't assume or think that it sees what it isn't told to see. So in other words, if somebody has a weapon in a trench coat and the human eye can't see that it's a weapon, right? Then your cameras aren't going to assume that it is either. However, if it looks like a weapon, there's an outline to it, there's a handle that you can see. Anything that a human could potentially see as a weapon, then you can tell the AI, hey, if it looks somewhat like this, I want a notification.
Wow.
Sadly, that's something that we have to have in our schools now. And this technology allows that to be possible. And we can put it on exterior cameras before they even get inside the building. We can lock down schools before it even intrudes into a building.
Wow.
With AI.
There's a bunch of government funding that's going towards being able to protect schools. Yes. And you're saying through the responsible use of technology, we can get more value out of those dollars by leveraging technology with human intelligence. And so,
absolutely.
So
and the brilliance of that, Jeff, is that with this particular technology, they don't even need to have a CapEx expense because it lays on top of pre-existing camera systems.
Wow.
So if their cameras are in good working order, they can still buy the software.
Well, I'd have to say to anyone out there that this sounds intriguing too. I was going to save this for later on, but we'll say it again later on again. We're excited to announce that we're having a ODP meetup, which is a Tech Talk theme, where we're going to be talking about the responsible use of AI and networking with others who care about children in this particular use case. Which if you have children and you want to know how this technology can potentially make schools a better place, we would love to meet you there. I'll go into the next question after that because the question, I believe we are the answer to the question, but I want to get your answer. How can educators and administrators ensure responsible use of AI in education?
Ultimately, it's implementation, right?
Yeah.
Implementation. We have school systems. We have school boards, first of all, that hold our school systems, our school districts accountable, right? And we have this technology available. So it's all about implementation. Why isn't it going that direction yet? I don't know. We're making huge strides and huge pushes because this is available. And that's part of the reason I'm here with you too, because you're a dad, I'm a mom, we have children, and they're a priority. And lucky for us, we work in a space that can actually possibly create an environment that is going to make them safer. And not only that, but make them feel safer. If you knew that there is a chance that somebody could come into the building and harm you, does that stress you out as a child? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Our kids go to school at times fearful. And that shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. So if they know that we as parents, we as administrators, we as school district officials, we as SROs are doing the absolute best we can to prevent anything from happening in advance, that's huge. Let me tell you another example real quick on that software. Because weapons are always a hot button issue. But another hot button issue that was brought to my attention because I was speaking to another ISD in Texas is Sex offenders, right?
Yeah.
A lot of our schools are in local communities. They're in neighborhoods. Sex offenders have to have somewhere to live. Doesn't mean they always make the right decisions. But what we actually can do with this software, and there's no limit to this, is we can actually upload local sex offenders from the database into our database on site, on-prem. And if the facial recognition sees one of these individuals from the cameras, it can notify the local authorities.
Yeah. And I believe sex offenders, there's a stipulation that they've got to stay a certain perimeter away from schools.
So the reason I bring that up is one of the ISDs that I was actually speaking with, they had a sex offender who was across the street from the school, sitting in his car. Nobody knew.
Yeah. That's
and he could come and go as he pleased, because nothing, I mean, you can't really trap him on the cameras and identify him. But with this type of technology, it is 95% effective in facial recognition.
So I'm going to tell a story too that was not a feel-good story. It must have been 2012, 2013. I was in HEB in Round Rock, Texas on a Sunday, and I was getting a bunch of fruits and vegetables. I would go there 2 times a week, and I would get about $100 of fruits and vegetables, and I would juice them. And Sunday was one of the days, Sunday and Wednesday. This day I went in there and I was carrying a concealed handgun, and I reached up to get the beats. And when I turned the pivot to go down the second aisle, boom, there was the HEB officials. They said, "Sir, do you have a gun?" And I said, "I do." And they said, "Well, you can't have a gun here in our store." I said, "You don't know the law." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you don't sell 50% of your revenue in alcohol, and you don't have the signage on the door." And so, and this is Texas.
Right.
And so they said, "Well, we're going to have to ask you to leave." I said, "No problem." I turned around and walked out the door. I got to the street to cross, and there's these 2 police cars that pulled up like this in front of me. I'm not thinking anything. I'm standing there, going to walk around the cars, and they said, "Sir, put your hands up. Do you have a gun?" And it progressed to the point where they had possession of my firearm. I told them where it was, and they told me to put my hands behind my back, and they were going to put me in handcuffs. And I said, "Hey, I just want to let you guys know that you guys are not within the law here, and you're talking to a man that has never been handcuffed, that has never been in the back of a police car. And if I ever have to experience anything like that, it will not go without me taking a response to that, because I pride myself in never having been handcuffed and never been in the back of the car." Now, let's just say I'm walking down the street and I'm near the school, my kid's school, and someone says, "Freeze, put your hands up." And I put my hands up, and they say, "This thing registered you as a sex offender." We can get to the bottom of that real quick. And I will say, it will put a smile on my face that to have that experience, to know that they are checking if anyone possibly is in the wrong area. So for you, thank you for sharing that specific example, because if these technologies, by the way, we're talking about K through 12, but these use cases can be applied to higher ed, so larger schools.
Absolutely.
We hear about these universities.
Date rapes on university campuses. They're actually taking place on university campuses.
Yeah.
There are so many use cases that this type of technology can be used on. And the fact of the matter is it's available now. It's available now. And so there's the call to action. What are we going to do to get it out there? Well, and when I say this can ride on any camera, think of smart cities. Think of traffic cams. I know people are all big brother, but what if Big Brother's on your side? He's not trying to give you a ticket, but Big Brother is tracking a child in a stolen vehicle and can look for a specific license plate, a specific color or brand, and narrow it down within seconds. That's what this technology literally can do within seconds. It takes the human person, human brain, human eye, to go through 24 hours of video data, like 2 days.
Wow.
How is that going to stop somebody who just kidnapped a child? That's 2 days too late. We need seconds, say there's an incident of a hit and run, and now somebody got the license plate, and now we need to figure out where this license plate went. They ran. We got a license plate. Now we can get in the systems. We can put that license plate in there and we can find them. What about criminals? Facial recognition. You've got these people. I just got a notification a couple days ago, actually, about the 10 most wanted people in Texas. What if facial recognition was on all the cameras in the area and they could cross-connect each other and you could see if there was a criminal?
I'm all about accountability through technology when there is a responsible or responsible practitioner. And so,
Absolutely.
I was just really just typing here to make sure that we did tell people where to contact us if they want to have a follow-up conversation on this, because we're 30 minutes in and we're still on question 1.
It's so good though. It is.
Yeah.
It's so good.
This is what I will say to my audience in response to everything that you've shared. It all boils down to who is it that is implementing. When Cherie talks about the implementation, it's all about whose heart and whose soul is going into listening to your needs and proposing a solution. And the reason why I say that is because, today, these technologies are being used in all different kind of ways. I mean, a few years ago, we saw where everybody in America was getting calls about an auto warranty deal or something.
Yeah.
And
robo dialers are the best.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing with this technology? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's like a seasonal fly that will never go away. The mosquitoes year round. It happened for like 4 years straight. Every day, everybody got these calls. But now what we're talking about is using this emerging technology
for the greater good.
For the greater good. And the only way for you to do that is to partner with people that that in our language we call it responsible practitioners, responsible service providers. And so I want to shift a little bit into healthcare, because we see that as a huge opportunity as well. What are some ethical considerations when using AI in healthcare?
So obviously HIPAA, right? We have to follow HIPAA laws, but when you talk about how cameras are already in hospitals, right? Cameras already are told what to do in hospitals. They can't see, pertinent data surrounding certain folks around their healthcare. So obviously it's something to consider, is making sure that it's still within those guidelines. However, I'll throw this out there because I know it to be true. My grandmother was in a nursing home facility, not necessarily assisted living, although this would apply for that as well. But she was in a nursing home facility, fantastic facility, still sing its praises. And, they're only human. They can only be in so many places at once. You think about it, you have maybe 250 patients, and that's probably on the low side of things. And you have maybe 10 to 15 professionals that are on call, are on duty at that time. And they're responsible for 250 patients, making sure vitals are good, making sure people are eating, making sure people are taking their medications, all of these things. These are all very important things. We want our grandma and grandpa to be super safe in these facilities. We pay a lot of money for them to be there. So What if there was a technology out there that could detect a trip or a fall, and it can notify those staff members immediately?
Did you
So
say
that
what if
somebody's
it
not
was out
laying on the
there?
floor.
Did you say what if it was out there, or what if it was implemented? It's probably better yet to be said, because it's here. We're talking
It's here.
about it.
It's here. We offer it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally, it needs to be implemented.
Yeah. So right now, if I'm going over to look at facilities, and they tell me that they have this technology that will allow for me to receive a notification.
Yes.
I'm thinking about, remember what was the commercials? I've fallen and I can't get up. Right. There have been technologies that have been invented specifically. If you remember those commercials, there were never any children in those commercials. It was someone that was elderly
by themselves.
In this particular case, we're talking about this being in a nursing home or assisted living, and it gives you a peace of mind. And I'm gonna say that if it was really worth it to you, we could also implement something in a residential space if that was your concern. And so these are all possibilities through technology now, because I know that people are living longer. I know that from a mental health standpoint, some people believe that if it's not the desire of your mother, your father, your loved one to go into that type of environment, that you don't want to urge that prematurely. But this could give and be another sense of security, peace of mind. So you can say, well, it's fine. You can, you stay in you guys stay in the home.
You have your freedom.
You have your freedom, and we'll have someone responding to you if you
in an assisted living environment. What we could even go, we have a product called a super sensor. Now, this super sensor is really awesome. The super sensor does not video, and it can go into an environment. Obviously, for HIPAA practices and stuff, I'm sure that there will be paperwork that needs to be signed because it can listen for certain things. However, it doesn't record. What it does is it's twofold. So first and foremost, it acts as a vape detection. Great for bathrooms in hospitals and schools. But what it does is it actually correlates that information back to the camera that's outside of the bathroom, outside of the patient's room. And it'll tell that camera, hey, we're smelling vape. I want you to go ahead and record for the next 15 minutes who's coming and going, right, for schools. It also can send an indicator to administrative staff so that they can go to that specific bathroom or room number. But the other neat twofold thing it can do is it actually can listen for noise, for sounds and certain sound waves. And what that can tell it is if there's a crash, if there's a bang, if somebody has fallen and can't get up. If they've fallen and can't get up, what makes you think that they can get to their cell phone? Or what makes you think they can go to a push button on the wall and push that button, right? So if we have these in the rooms, it can automatically send a notification to administrative staff, hey, this person's down. I need you to go. Or, if the environment is set up correctly, it can even send a notification to local law enforcement.
That's fantastic. And I think about, the times when in, maybe a rehab facility or something like that, where someone is, had a life-changing event and they're, kind of learning to move about in their new self. Those types of accidents happen. And sometimes, I've heard stories of them being tragic because, they can't be everywhere at one time. And so,
not to mention, Jeff, that we have a major shortcoming in our healthcare industry.
Yeah.
We are very, very short supplied on doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals in general.
Yep.
So why not help them out with some technology? Back them up.
And you're going to, by default, increase the productivity of your people, because now they can actually be performing services, and you can actually have more intake of more, if you have beds or if you have space in the rehab facility, you can make sure that capacity is
Right.
maximized because now you have more technology being used to provide some of that care. Um,
Well,
you
and
know,
let me ask you this too. If you were putting your mom in a facility and the facility had this technology and then you went to another one, the other one looks amazing. They have this, this, and this amenity wise, but they don't have this technology. I'm sorry, but I'm going to gear myself more towards the
yeah,
technology side of
I am.
things all
I
day
am.
long
Yeah, I
than a
am
hot
because
tub.
we've heard too many stories about this, about things that
Mhm.
happen, and for a facility to make a decision that we're going to add another layer of service and another layer of it, and let's just be honest, it's another layer of accountability as well. So they're
100%.
saying we're going to hold ourselves to be able to have this level of
Mhm.
accountability so that we can deliver a higher rate of service for your loved one. So sign me up.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to go and tell other people to say, hey, look, this is something you guys should recommend to wherever
And
your loved one is.
they can actually charge more.
That's true.
I mean, if
That's
we're talking about return on
value.
investment,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
mean, yeah, everybody
yeah,
has a little ROI sense in them, you know?
yeah. I
Yeah.
I hate to say it this way, but it could be one of those things to where uh, it's an add-on service. And so you say, would you like to have I mean, we could go, you and I could go
Oh,
around
yeah.
and
We could
round
go down
about
that
this
rabbit hole.
Yeah, we could go. So
We still
let's talk
could.
about
But yes, you're
just
right.
in healthcare, just the balance of, the question now. I love that you brought up the product that doesn't record. So the balance of innovation and responsible use. We know it comes down to the practitioner. Is there anything else you would say in healthcare people should consider?
Something that gets brought up quite frequently is actually finding things. Things go missing. So, one of the things that we have is the cross camera. So,
Mm,
we can actually track devices. So, I mean, those devices are worth a small fortune, right? Heart
yeah.
monitors and blood pressure, whatever. That I'm not. Don't come after me, people. I don't work in the
Devices.
medical industry.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
just
device, an expensive
yes.
device.
Your blood pressure cuff. I
Yeah.
don't know. But those devices are expensive, and it's strange to me because I do talk to hospitals on a regular basis and different facilities, and they go missing.
Yeah.
They get put in a closet somewhere. Something else gets put in front of them. People can't find them. So we do have the ability to actually hunt things down through our search engines in the system. So we can do a cross camera search and we can actually follow devices, which is really amazing.
That is very helpful. I want to say to anyone that may see this, that's in the healthcare space, whether it is you have interest, you manage accounts and are a seller or engineer or something like that in that space, you want to learn more about these use cases, or you have a loved one that you would like to make sure that uh, they're in a facility that would consider these types of technologies for these types of purposes. We are available. You can reach us at www.ourdiverseperspectives.com and the meetup. We're going to be out at Sidecar Social in Frisco, Texas, May 23rd at 4 to 6, I believe. And our tech fairy godmother is going to be there. Now, our fairy tech mother, let me get it
Yes.
right. Let me get it right. The fairy tech mother is going to be there, and we're going to be talking about this. We're going to skip along. So we talked about education.
Mhm.
We've talked about healthcare, logistics. I can dream up
Oh,
uh,
oh,
a bunch of different ways this technology applies there.
yes.
How is AI transforming logistics already today?
So, what's amazing about what AI can do for logistics, and we actually have two different products for logistics. So, we have also an IoT device that's an asset tracker that can be installed literally on any device and it can track it wherever it goes. It actually has a multi-carrier SIM. So if it's in AT&T territory or Verizon territory or T-Mobile territory, it automatically switches over. So that's pretty phenomenal in and of itself. It's super cost effective. So we have that device, and it's only about yay big. So really, really fantastic. So that works really well in the logistics space as well. But as far as AI specifically is concerned, how cool would it be if you, a truck driver, were going to drop a load off at the warehouse? And you know what? The security guard has walked away from the station, and you're sitting at that gate trying to get in. But it just so happens that your video cameras have AI, and they put your license plate to your truck in their cameras to recognize it and say, oh, you know what? We know this truck. Go ahead and raise the gate. Mr. Security Guard, you don't have to get off the toilet. You're okay. Right?
You can actually take a break.
You can take a 5-second. Yeah, take a break. And then that driver could be let in. Right. Yeah. That's important too, because we're having a hard time filling some of these jobs, some of these opportunities as it is, especially in the evening times. Right. A lot of people don't want to work graveyard shift. And so what if this was available and you implemented it? Another really great feature as far as logistics are concerned is also just making sure that the trucks are going where they're supposed to be going. Right? Tracking them on the yard, making sure you can see with that cross camera, you can follow a truck. So if it's picking up a load, it doesn't go around the building and drop the load. Right? We're holding people accountable for their actions. You're taking the load and you're going and delivering it.
We're going to have some follow-up conversations on that one because I do know that there's a huge opportunity on the logistics side in that area, to make sure that fuel is being optimized.
Absolutely.
To make sure, occurrences that are happening out there. I'll just say it this way. I have friends who have gotten out of that space because of these challenges. And I have friends that have done it at a loss because
I'm sure
these
it's
challenges.
A huge industry. And, with the facial recognition, you can go as far as with the facial recognition, having it at doors and allowing, having that ability to unlock doors, because we have a security officer. The security officer's up in a booth. He's not at the door because he's overseeing all of the doors. Yep. So if we have him looking at each of these cameras and it's pulling up facial recognition, oh, that's so-and-so. His badge number is so-and-so. Okay, I'm going to let him in.
Yeah. This is what I want to jump in and make clear to everyone. No matter what you do, no matter what you care about, having an understanding in this space makes you more valuable. This is about diversifying your skill set, and this is emerging technology. So if you return back into the office, into your work environment, and you're having a conversation about responsible use of AI and giving some use cases, do you think that you are adding value or not?
Right.
Even if it's not the answer, AI is not the answer every time, but we've got to continue to grow. And that's the whole purpose of, kind of how we decide to provide a community like Ontegration, and then be able to bring in a ODP Tech Talk and have Cherie share with us all of these great use cases for the technology around video and AI together. You talked earlier about vaping. I just saw
hot button issue.
Yeah, it is. I right now, I just read an article the other day where kids getting caught vaping are being sent to alternative school now.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you that I went to alternative school one time when I was in ninth grade. Listen, I never went back.
No, it could be life-changing.
Yeah, I never went back. I'm still at this point looking back. I don't think I belong there. I really don't. I really don't. So this is good stuff. I want to make sure we stay on with logistics. what measures can be taken to mitigate risk? I think, this always comes back to the practitioner. But also I want you to talk about why it's important to have references and proof of concepts to make sure that the risks and the return on investment are there.
I mean, that's true with any technology.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would push that with anybody who is in a place where they could actually or potentially want to change their technologies out, is try it out. It's affordable these days. Technology is more of a consumable now than ever before, especially with this type of technology, because it has ours specifically has many different layers. And so the bonus to this is that with ours specifically, it's an a la carte, because we understand that out of all of 19 of our use cases, your space, your industry doesn't necessarily need it. Let me give you an example. And I've got two actually. On the logistics side, what about OSHA?
Yeah.
Right? What about PPE? You're in a warehouse environment. What about, people having to wear face masks or hair nets or hard hats? A lot of these companies, a lot of the warehouses, a lot of these large brands, right? Their insurance is through the roof because people throw themselves on the ground and falsify things. What if you provided a product to them that could help protect them from being sued? Mitigate a loss.
Mitigate the risk insurance. You're spot on right there. Every company out there has to have this in place, and this is a real cost.
Yeah, it is. And you factor in, okay, these lawsuits probably cost upwards of at least $1 million in most cases, between attorney's fees and payouts and all the things. And if your camera system could literally go back, trace the timeline, and notify you in the event something does happen immediately, and it records before and after for you, and you already have that snippet, that could be millions of dollars a company is saving.
Yeah. I can think of some personal experiences where there were mistakes made that technology would have documented, and there would have been a much shorter process to go about making sure things were remedied in a way that was less impactful to the person, less costly to the company. And then also a situation to where someone got an opportunity to be coached or to learn or to grow. And everything that you're discussing is right on the money. I want to, it's been 48 short minutes of you and I discussing, and I have a feeling this is not the last one.
Can I interject one more thing, because I think that it's also a perspective most people wouldn't have thought about, and I really
go for it.
So my background, originally, I was in real estate marketing for years and years and years and years. Marketing is still one of my favorite things in the world to do, because I think it boils down to a brand, and each person's brand is a part of themselves, right? And so I hold it near and dear to me. But the technologies that we're offering, actually, we have heat mapping, and we were talking about ROI. So we have heat mapping and we have people counting in environments. Retail spaces. You have a retail space, you have an end cap. Oreo Cookies wants to come and they want to be on that end cap. Well, as a Kroger, I don't know which end cap. I don't know which end cap's the best end cap. But if I had heat mapping in my store, I could see which end cap gets the most traffic. That's ROI, because then I can say, you know what, Nabisco, Oreo, you want that end cap right there? That's going to cost you. That's prime real estate in our store. And then they're going to come back and say, well, you know what? I want some I want some statistics on how well that end cap does. Here's your heat map. And you know what? When we run the special and your Oreo cookies go on sale, we'll also, as soon as that ad comes out for the next week that ad's in place, we're also going to do people counting for you. We're going to see how many people come to that specific spot.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you what we could do. We could also add an IoT device on the basket, and then that way it travels around and we could heat map it. And then when it checks out, it knows what the total was for that particular basket, and we can do the correlate. Hey, listen,
all the brains,
responsibly use. This is one of my gifts is to be able to think about things in this way. And one of the things that makes me feel the best is to serve and deliver technology, because I had to go through a very meaningful process to get here, and have this set of experiences and this competence. And now I feel like now it's a very, very big opportunity for people like you and I to partner together and go and serve and support humanity in a responsible way. I mean, there's all these things flying at people, and everybody can't know everything. And so where do you go when you don't know where to go? Well, that's kind of what Ontegration is all about. And we're going to be using responsible technology as well, and responsible AI. We've got some upcoming conversations around how we go out and deliver responsible human relations, which is going to be a human relations agent that will be the people's HR. And so when you think about turn to your left, turn to your right, ask your neighbor.
That's right.
Do you trust HR? Village. Yes. Do you think there's value in responsible HR? Your neighbor's gonna say, well, I heard some stories about some things. I've seen some things. And so really what this is about, you talked about education. We talked about responsibility. We talked about safety. We talked about logistics and face recognition and all the different scenarios about how these things could be used. The first step is to reach out.
That's just this much of
that. You have. I think if anyone sees any part of this, they could see the value of why they should connect with a community like this that has access to these types of resources. Because when you reach out to us, guess who's going to show up? We are.
Yeah, 100%.
And when we show up, we're first showing up to listen. I don't have much to say because I don't know anything. I need to learn first.
Right.
And then once we learn, then we can now talk about, what we've seen in other places that we've
gone. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, when I solve a problem, it makes me very happy. Like I get great pleasure in understanding and knowing that I made an impact in some way, shape, or form. I've always told people I'm more of a gifter than a getter, right? And it's because you find that perfect gift, right? And you're like, I found the perfect gift, and it gives you joy in seeing somebody else's face light up. It's the same thing every time we find a solution for a client and it works and they're so happy about it and it's doing everything that's supposed to do. That to me is
feeling.
That's it.
That feeling is better than compensation. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. I've done sales I've done sales for a lot of places over the last 18 years. Comp plans are not the most clear. And so I always just focused on serving. And then when the numbers came out, I would look at with my manager and say, is this right? And then I would go to the person on my team. There's always somebody on your team that knows that comp plan inside and out. And so I'd say, hey, check this out. Here are my numbers. Tell me what I'm supposed to make. And then they'll tell me, and I'm like, all right, we're good. And that I was that way because of what you just said, the feeling of serving and supporting. That's a high for me. And that's the reason why I built Ontegration. Ontegration was birthed for me, looking at a set of problems and saying, I believe I have the gifts, the experience, and the passion And I believe this is my purpose, to go out and deliver something like this. So to be able to spend this time with someone like Cherie, offering this up, and then now we move towards focusing on this event, where we're in a virtual space now. We're going to be in a physical space. So that means we have a one to many, and now we have a one to a few, whoever shows up. We're looking forward to connecting with you. So I just, Cherie, you really spoke with everything that you offered today. You really spoke to me and my purpose, and I want to thank you for in these early stages of Once Integration and our diverse perspectives, for seeing an opportunity and saying, I think Jeff is worth partnering with. So I appreciate that. I really do, and I'm looking forward to our meetup. And so, with that being said, I'm going to tell you again, it is May the 23rd at Sidecar Social in Frisco.
Yes.
Starting at 4:00. Before we get out of here, Cherie, please tell everyone where they can connect with you, where they can follow you, where they can tap in.
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me under Cherie Dolan or the Fairy Tech Mother. I am going to get that trademarked eventually.
I think if anyone should ever try to use that name, we know who the original OG is.
That's right. That's right.
So thank you again for carving out the time. To those out there, we're doing this for you all. We just talked about it. This there's a reason why we have been given these set of experiences, and we are in this position right now, is because this is our purpose. Our purpose is to be able to go out and envision technology to create a better world, and to shine the light on making sure that the world is growing into a better place over time. It's not an overnight thing. But what I will tell you from my experience, I've seen some dark places and some dark times, but I feel better when I connect with people that I can feel their energy and feel their fruits, and we look forward together and figure out how we partner to go make a better world. This has been the ODP Tech Talk. I am Jeff McKinney. Again, thank you, Cherie, for joining, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you, Jeff.
Listen, we all face challenges. No matter who you are, what you do, and where you live, challenges arise. At Ontegration, we are your safe space. We support you through social media. We support you in the business world. We help your nonprofit organizations. We tell your stories that ignite hope and purpose. We are here to serve all people like you, to participate in all aspects of your life so you can navigate life successfully. Choose today. Ontegration, one purpose, unified.
Hello, I'm the AI virtual likeness of our CEO and founder, Jeffrey McKinney. At Diverse Perspectives, we're not just consultants, we're architects of change. Our mission is to craft organizational solutions that not only yield tangible business results, but also cultivate an authentic workplace culture reflective of our diverse, inclusive world. Are you ready to transform your organization? At Diverse Perspectives, change isn't just a possibility, it's a promise. Connect with us to get an evaluation of your organization regarding AI, digital marketing and design, as well as your workplace culture. Learn how our dedicated team can elevate your business to unprecedented heights at ourdiverseperspectives.com.